Upper and Lower Kemet twin kingdoms, which are mirrored images of each other. If I'm not mistaken, Lower Kemet by the Nile marshes, which is usually where all the saviors like Christ and Moses were born, or Heru, was a representation of the daughters or the oldest daughters who had fallen first. Upper Kemet reflects those that came down to assist in uplifting or helping to assist in the upliftment, creating laws and divine order, with the intention to guide these fallen children as well as their creations, or the beast-like fallen children that emerged from the first fallen children, give them order, light, mysteries, teaching them the right way to live in harmony with the creators. But higher Kemet also entered a fallen state from wanting to basically, if I'm not mistaken, these daughters wanted to be worshipped. And it makes sense because when you look at all the most ancient goddesses throughout the different cultures or whatever, outside of just Kemet, or if you want to examine Kemet, since they're the only ones, if I'm not mistaken, that use the terms upper or lower. Most of the daughters and the so-called sons that were so-called gods and goddesses were from higher or upper Kemet. So that's kind of how they've fallen. They've fallen in other ways, I'm sure, from deception, daughters of lower Kemet also intervening or participating in the falling of the daughters of upper Kemet and the sons as well, teaching them the lower nature or fallen ways. So you had one stuck in a fallen state, and this is why they always birth the Herus or saviors to try to raise them back up out of their fallen state. And then you had the ones that came down from above to provide order, which is why the laws were given to Moshe where up on the mountaintop, which those of Upper Kemet dwelt on higher regions, up on mountainous lands, and those of Lower Kemet lived down by the waters, the Nile, the marshes. And this is why you always had Moses in a basket, or Yeshua, or these children that were always Herus to be saviors to the fallen humanity or woman, brought forward to uplift the daughters of the fallen daughters of Zion, which are located in North Americano. So I think that it's very interesting that you have this duality where Upper and Lower Kemet, which are one and the same but reflective opposites at the same time, because those of Upper Kemet also have a lower nature, and that is how they fell. And then you have those of Lower Kemet who have a higher nature, and this is why they are able to birth saviors or sons who come back to correct. So yeah, it's just so beautiful, and it's just so interesting how that manifests in terms of the divine cosmic balance. It's up to you to do your studies and homework on self to figure out, as an ancient one returned or returning, whether you were from Upper or Lower Kemet. So yeah, now everybody is rising, and Lower Kemet is mastering higher self, and Upper Kemet is mastering their lower self. And it makes so much sense because when you think about the year or the witchcraft that the dark priestess have done, they've managed to continue to start the years off at the feet instead of starting it off in spring with Aries at the head. So it's a ritual to continue to chop the head off of the Christ child or beings which reflects in the story of Seth chopping up his brother Asar. Or when we went from the Aryan to the Piscean age, ruled by the Romans, you had John the Baptist, or John, get his head cut off. But in the Aryan age, where Ares the head ruled, you had David chop off the head of Goliath. So that was the way of the enemy conquering or attempting to conquer the Christ beings. But everyone possesses a good and bad or upper lower nature. That's to become whole, you have to master both sides. So I just think it's interesting though, because a lot of people kind of will talk down on those of lower Kemet. But then it's so funny because you'll hear in a tweet Abba made, he said lower Kemet's really upper Kemet, upper Kemet's really lower Kemet. So when you look at the world as being a spiral or a circle, you realize that nothing was designed to be above the other, but it's just the same energy that continues to travel in that spiral motion, and it should be spiraling up. So yeah, 13 love to both kingdoms, and may the Most Highs continue to uplift and cleanse, heal, repair, and bring back the divine balance within each of their children. 13 love.